I'd like to thank Pelicase. Okay. Hello and welcome to The Mindful Life with Waylon Lewis. Ding da dong dong dong. Every Thursday we gather together and review a hot topic within the mindful life. Ding da ding. That's my NPR fresh air imitation. Today I want to talk about a really annoying thread of thought that's been super hot on Reddit and a lot of websites, including The Guardian, New York Times, etc., which is saying, in the face of overwhelming scientific proof that climate change not only is real, but has been happening for decades and is not so much climate change as it is a climate emergency, a climate crisis that is going to provoke overwhelming food scarcity, mass migrations, devastating our economies worldwide, including real estate markets, and the mass extinction of species, which is already beginning, along with many other fun results, that our individual actions don't matter. So I wanted to discuss that from a scientific point of view and also from a heavy on attitude point of view. So the stat that's been going around is that 71% of global carbon emissions are caused by just 100 companies, and that just 4 of those companies, Exxon, Mobil, BP, and Shell, are responsible for like half of all climate emissions, carbon emissions. So therefore, and that's really interesting, and I think that's really exciting to know and to hold them accountable. But them is us, as the famous cartoon says. We have found the enemy. We have discovered the enemy, as the enemy is us. We are the ones demanding AC when we're slightly hot because we don't want to sweat. We are the ones driving in our petroleum cars to go have a fun, day across town instead of biking. Yesterday, I was at the farmer's market, which is about local food, and I'm looking for like dog bones from a mindful meat producer for my dog. And she said, oh, well, you can drive out to Longmont to pick them up if you'd like. I don't have a car, I bike. The point of that is not that I'm better than you if you have a car. You probably need that car in some ways, and in other ways you probably don't. I do plenty of things like flying that I probably don't need to do as much as I do. So there's a lot here. Carbon offsets are incredibly powerful and really cheap and affordable. And that can literally offset your sort of carbon karma. Not in a sort of spiritual sense, although sure, why not? But in a very direct sense, by planting trees that suck up carbon and invest their roots in our soil, we can literally sequester carbon. We can take carbon out of the atmosphere. We can it's like time travel. We can turn the clock back on carbon, on climate change, on the climate crisis. And most of you know all of this. So if you know all of this and you agree and you're bored, good. But the conclusion of this thread that's been going around the whole media sphere, and I'm not blaming media too because it's all over Reddit. People really love to think, it's their fault, not ours. The conclusion of it is, to hell with straws, to hell with plastic coffee to-go cups at Starbucks, to hell with driving, to hell with all this stuff. We can just keep doing it. Individual actions don't matter. And, if you said that to any successful cause in history, the leaders of that cause would look at you like you were an idiot, to put it politely. If you went to Martin Luther King Jr. and you said, you know what, man, most racism, this being the early 60s, is perpetuated by government, by this, by that. So really, like, individual actions don't matter around it. He'd look at you like you're crazy. We are the ones feeding these corporations. We are the ones creating this demand. So it is incumbent on us to get out of our cars, to stop heating our homes at night and instead get cozy. And it's supposedly healthier to sleep when it's a little bit cozy and cold. I'm not saying you should be cold, just get nice blankets around you. We are the ones having AC on so cold in the lunch place I went into yesterday, which is all about local food and being eco-responsible. It's called Snooze. I love it. I had a vegan burrito. So cold in there, I had to sit outside. And the doors are open the whole time. So we're leaking out AC. So, there's that other thread going around Instagram and stuff, which I heartily agree with, which is, one plastic straw won't matter. And then in small print it said 8 million people a day. So, we are choking our oceans with plastic, and we are eating, as plastic-free Mermaid and many others have said lately, we are eating a credit card's worth of plastic every week or every month. I think it's every month. So, when you have canned beans or whatever, you're getting plastic out of it when you get your food out of there. When you have a glass jar and you tighten the lid, you're getting little plastic chunks falling in there. When you eat fish, you're eating their plastic. When you eat meat, you're eating plastic. Plastic obviously is choking our environment, and it's not directly related to climate change in the way that pollution is, but guess what plastic is made of, right? Petroleum and a whole bunch of toxic chemicals. So the good news is we are powerful. We make the change. We are the people we've been waiting for. Elephant Journal's slogan is, it's about the mindful life. The mindful life is a joyful life. A life of suffering, a life of depression, not in the clinical sense, but in the everyday sense, a life of selfishness is all about avoiding reality and not allowing yourself to feel vulnerable or brokenhearted or caring. The mindful life is about looking at sad stuff, looking at cows, veal, pigs getting tortured in factory farming and saying, you know what, I care. I just care. I just feel it. I don't even intellectually care. I just viscerally care in my body. My body knows this is wrong. I feel empathy. And then acting on that. So whether it's going vegan or avoiding plastic or driving less or carpooling more or taking public transportation more or taking a train and looking out the window and having a good time, as I did from Seattle to Portland to Hood River and back, instead of flying. Sure, it takes more time. And, the conversation about privilege, which I've done a podcast and video on, comes into this. Some of this stuff is more a pain in the butt. Some of this stuff is more expensive. A lot of the stuff is actually cheaper. My mom was dirt poor growing up, and I'm not making any claim that I wasn't privileged in other ways, like being white, male, but we shopped bulk. We didn't have a car. We walked. We had a great old life, and that was on $12,000 a year, to the point where we lost our house eventually. So a lot of green stuff is actually cheaper. It means buying less, being less a part of the habit trail rat race, to mix metaphors, rats on a habit trail. I don't know what happened to the hamsters. But all of it is more caring and more responsible, and ultimately caring is the ultimate act against privilege. If you care, you help, you are an ally, you're fighting with, not against, those who are vulnerable all over our world. Climate change will disproportionately affect, guess who? People who are not privileged, because they won't be able to get out of the tsunami wave that is the climate crisis. So again, I want all of this to leave us with a good taste in our mouth, which is we can be the change. All we have to do is turn the damn lights off, use a swamp cooler instead of AC, keep the damn door closed to keep the AC or the heat in. Take off your shoes when you go into a house, then you don't have to vacuum as much. Every little thing, save water when you're waiting for the hot water, and use that water, pour it in, just pour it in a bucket, pour that in your toilet, and it'll flush it automatically. It's magic. There's so many little things we can do every day. And for those saying all those little things don't add up, that's just not how math works. Literally, little things add up into big things. So I hope that's inspiring, and I hope, you'll find one action, maybe no to-go cups from cafes, which are almost always plastic lined and bleached and unrecyclable. None of them for a month, or no, take your shoes off for a month, or try to bike, walk, train, carpool more for a month. Try to avoid plastic water bottles, which are basically tap water and filled with endocrine disrupting plastics. The plastics leak into the water. So when you're walking around drinking your Evian, it's naive. Spelled backward and straightforwardly, it's naive. All right, so get out there and be mindful and have a good time and be willing to feel. And I think that's true bravery. Thank you so much.